Siblings who were adopted separately from the same animal shelter years ago are reunited thanks to their furry friend. In today's feel-good story, we get to witness the emotional reunion of two long-lost siblings that were given up for adoption at an animal shelter and then adopted by different families years ago. The happy ending is they were reunited when one of the families went back to the shelter to adopt another dog. It was the dog that made it possible because he led his owner right to his very own sister. We'll tell you more about this incredible story right after. Welcome to our channel. We are so glad you're here today. If you love heartwarming stories about dogs, please consider subscribing so you don't miss out on future videos. We bring you the best stories daily. And if you love dogs, please give this video a thumbs up. This lovely black lab mix named Bear lived at the Oregon Humane Society in Portland for over 700 days. No one knows how old he was when he first arrived at the shelter, but since nobody came to adopt him, he grew up there. He got to be a handsome young adult dog with a sweet and gentle nature. Even though Bear had a lot of admirers, including many people who wanted to adopt him, something kept him at the shelter. He couldn't move forward in his life until his person came along. And all this time, he didn't know his person would also become his sibling's person. Meet Mackenzie. She lives in Portland, Oregon, just like Bear. She was raised in a family that always had a dog around. So when she moved into her first home on her own, she was ready to adopt a dog. The thing was, she didn't want just any dog. She wanted the perfect dog, the dog that would be her companion for the next decade or more. So she took her time looking for the perfect match. When she heard about Bear at the Oregon Humane Society, she went to meet him. It took her just one look to know he was the dog for her. However, she didn't know it yet. Bear was the dog for her sister, too. When Mackenzie finally adopted Bear, she took him home and introduced him to her family, including her father and her sister, Samantha. All of them loved Bear immediately. This black lab mix was a great dog who adjusted well to his new family. He enjoyed walks in the park, cuddling on the couch, playing fetch, going to the beach, and just being with his humans. But what Bear didn't know was that his new mom's sister also adopted a dog from the same shelter, even though it happened 3 years before. Bear's human sister, Samantha, couldn't believe it when she learned her dad adopted Bear, and she found out she got her very own dog from the same place. Their dogs' names are Bear and Luna, and they're not only siblings, but they're also the same age and the same breed. It's hard to imagine the coincidence of getting adopted by different people, but the fact they were reunited because of the dog they both have is amazing. Let's find out how it all started. Luna had been with her family for 3 years before her human mom got Bear. For the first 2 years, she spent at the Green Hill Humane Society. Her family adopted her from there. Just like Bear, no one knows how old Luna was when she entered the shelter, but she was already a beautiful young dog. Since she was shy, the shelter staff thought she might need some time to come out of her shell once she got to her forever home. But Luna didn't take long to warm up to her new people. She became a member of the family in no time. Then she became a proud aunt when her human sister got her very own dog. Bear was pretty lonely at the shelter. Even though he was friendly with other dogs and people, he missed having a person call his own. That's why he was so excited when Mackenzie came to his kennel. She was the first person he liked. And when she told him yes, he could go for a walk, he was so happy. Bear was in heaven. He finally had a person who cared about him, played with him, talked to him, and most of all, loved him. It was the start of a beautiful friendship between a woman and her dog. Bear couldn't be happier. At first, he couldn't understand why he couldn't play with Mackenzie as much as he wanted. But he soon realized she had a busy schedule. So instead of staying alone all day, Mackenzie decided to enroll Bear in doggy daycare. Bear was ecstatic. He loved going to daycare and playing with other dogs. In fact, he had the time of his life. While he was getting the exercise he needed, Mackenzie went to work knowing Bear was in good hands. When Bear and Luna were puppies at the shelter, they were both shy. But over the months, they blossomed and gained confidence. Bear became a handsome young dog, and Luna turned into a beautiful girl. They grew up at the shelter, hoping someone would open the door to their forever homes. When they were adopted, they started living the life they deserved, full of love, care, and happiness. Bear and Luna were grateful to their respective families. They knew they had been chosen, which filled them with gratitude. 3 years passed and Bear was still living with Mackenzie. He was the happiest dog in the world. One day, Bear noticed his person seemed sad. He tried to cheer her up by licking her hand and nudging her with his nose. When that didn't work, he jumped on the couch next to her and laid his head on her lap. Mackenzie petted him and told him she wasn't sad. She just missed seeing her sister, Samantha. Bear listened attentively. He understood what she said. They hadn't seen each other in a while. And now Mackenzie wished she could see her again. Bear didn't know what to do to make his human mom feel better. He was just a dog. Then he had an idea. Bear stood up and went to the front door. He looked at Mackenzie and barked twice. She knew what he wanted. In fact, they had a deal. When Bear wanted to go for a walk, he barked once. But when he barked twice, it meant he wanted to go somewhere else. Bear wanted to go visit his human sister. He really liked her and hadn't seen her in a while. Mackenzie couldn't believe it. She thought it was incredible Bear remembered the deal they had made. On the drive to her sister's house, Bear couldn't stop barking. He was so excited to see Samantha again. When they arrived, he jumped out of the car and ran to her, wagging his tail. Samantha was surprised. She was expecting her sister and her dog, but she didn't know Bear would be there too. She was thrilled to see him. After all, she missed him a lot. The three of them spent the whole afternoon playing with Bear, taking him for a walk, and most of all, enjoying each other's company. Bear was so happy to see his human sis again. He played with her and then fell asleep in her lap. Later that night, Mackenzie and Samantha were talking on the phone. They were catching up and laughing when suddenly Mackenzie told her sister about Bear. "I can't believe it," Samantha said. "Me neither. It's unbelievable," Mackenzie replied. At that moment, they both realized Bear had brought them together again. He was the reason they were talking on the phone. After they hung up, Samantha went to her room to see Luna. She told her dog everything about Bear and how much she missed him. She couldn't wait to see him again. The truth was Samantha missed Mackenzie too. The following weekend, Mackenzie and Samantha got together with their dogs. It was a beautiful afternoon. The four of them went to the park and played. Bear and Luna were so happy to see each other again. They ran around the park, chased each other, rolled in the grass, and jumped into the lake. After spending the afternoon together, they headed home. The sisters hugged and promised to get together soon. Luna and Bear were happy their humans were friends. They knew they had brought them together. Months went by. Bear and Luna saw each other every weekend. They all went to the park, played, walked, explored, and had fun. Bear couldn't be happier. His life had changed so much since he left the shelter. Now he had two humans who loved him and a dog sister to play with. It was the perfect ending to his story. We're so happy Bear found his forever home with Mackenzie. We're also happy he and Luna were reunited. What a beautiful story. Please share it with your friends and family. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe so you don't miss any new videos. Thanks for watching. See you next time.